Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and today we are going to begin working on a new project, a to-do list app. We're basically going to create an app that allows us to make a list of things we have to get done, and we can delete them, we can check them whenever we finish them. It's going to be a nice app. It's going to be almost like the Notes app we just created with a couple of extra things here. So it's going to be an HTML, CSS, JavaScript project, and I will call it to-do list. I'm going to call mine version 5 because I probably have a couple of them already. So let's create this REPL and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, let me grab my new tab preview here so we can see as much of the code as possible. All right, the HTML for this website is actually pretty easy. The first thing we want to do is we want to create a div. We'll give it the class name of container. And this div is going to contain everything inside of our website. So it's going to be basically the main div of our website. Next, we'll create another div. We'll give it a class of to-do app. This is going to be like the app field or the section of the website that shows the app itself. Okay. And inside of the to-do app, we're going to need a header. We'll give this an H2. We'll say to-do list. I'm going to give a space because we're going to put an image right here. IMG. And actually, we don't have our images yet. Let's go ahead and grab those. So if we go to Canvas, eventually, you know what? I think I already have them downloaded. So you could download yours from Canvas. Mine are already on my computer. I'll go into my web dev projects folder, my to-do app images. Okay. And I will bring them over. But first, I'm going to create a new folder called images, and I will drag these in. We should have 3 images, one called checked, one called icon, and one called unchecked. Those are the images we're using. Okay, so we want to put our icon in our H2. So image src equals images icon. Okay, perfect. And I believe that should be it for our H2. So yep, there we go, to-do list, and then we have our icon. Perfect. The next thing we want to do is we want to have an input box and a button, and we're going to style them together. We're going to call this a row. So let's create a new div, and we'll set the class equal to row. And we'll put both of these things inside of it. Okay. So first we're going to put an input, and that's going to be of type text. We'll set its ID equal to input box. We'll need that later with our JavaScript. And we'll give it some placeholder text. We'll say add your task. Okay. And the next thing we need is a button. And we'll just say, I don't know, add. Let's check that out. There we go. We have a place to put our task, and we have an add button. Okay, perfect. Now, below that row, so right here we have the row, below the row, but still inside of the to-do app div, we want to create an unordered list. What this is going to do is it's going to allow us to add items to our list. So unordered list, so UL, we'll give it an ID of list-container. And inside this unordered list, let's give it a couple of list items. We'll say task 1. And we'll copy this. We'll put 3 in here just so we can see what the style looks like. We'll say task 2, task 3. Okay, let's go back to Replit. Beautiful, or the preview. So now we have all the HTML. We have our header, we have our input field, and we have our list. So at this point, we can actually start styling this thing. So let's go for it. let's go to our style sheet and get rid of this junk text. I'm going to use, let's do Google Fonts. I'm going to use, which font do I want? Man, Poppins just looks so good. I'm going to use Lotto. I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to use Lotto this time. I will get the embed code, copy that code, and put it in the head section of our HTML. Okay, so now that's there. Beautiful. So now in my style set or my CSS sheet, I can start styling the web page like we normally do. So margin 0, padding 0, font family. Oh, I forgot. Which one did I choose? Lotto. Font family, Lotto, and we'll give it a sans serif fallback. And we'll change the box sizing to border box. Okay. So my font has changed and my margins have gone away and my padding's gone away. Good. Next, let's program this container class. So we'll come over to our CSS period container. Alrighty, let's set the width to be 100%. We'll set the minimum height to be 100 VH. And we'll give the background a nice linear gradient. And we'll set it to 135 degrees. And the first color is going to be a kind of a dark blue, 3677. And the second color is going to be a nice purple, like a royal purple. And of course, you can choose whatever colors you want. You can change your colors however you'd like. Let's give it some padding as well. 10 pixels. Alrighty. Let's see if that looks nice. And it does. Look at that really nice gradient there. We have some padding here. Perfect. Off to a good start. Okay, next we need to program this ToDo app class. So we'll do that next. Period. ToDo app. And what we want to do here is we're going to give that text a nice color. We'll say a dark blue, but different from the gradient blue. I have 002,765 for my color. We'll change the display to be flex. We are going to align items to the center. And we'll set the margin bottom to be 20 pixels. Okay, so now we have that to-do list and everything's aligned the way it should be. Okay, good. Actually, no. That is supposed to be our H2, not the to-do list itself. That's just the H2, okay? That's okay. Let's style the to-do list itself. So all that code that we just wrote, that's actually just for the H2. So it's just for the header element in the to-do list, not everything else. Okay, so for the app itself, we'll set the width to be 100%, the max width to be 540 pixels. That way it doesn't go all the way across the screen if we have our screen, if it's full screen. We'll set the background to be white. We'll set the margin to be, let's say 100 pixels by auto by 20 pixels. So that's going to put it in the center of the screen. We'll set the padding to be 40 pixels by 30 pixels by 70 pixels, and we'll give it a border radius of 10 pixels. Okay, now it should look, there we go. So this is the app itself, and then this is the header. So I just swapped that up. Basically what happened is I scrolled down too far in my notes on the other screen, and I wasn't paying attention. So now we've programmed, or we've created the CSS for the H2. Let's shrink this image here so it's not so big. So we can do that pretty easily. .todo app H2 image. So we want the image inside the H2, inside the ToDo app class. We'll set the width to be 30 pixels, and we will set the margin left to be 10 pixels. So now our image should be smaller, and it is. So we have a nice header there. Perfect. Okay, next I want to program this row class here. Okay, so let's go to the style sheet. So we're going to set this to display flex. We will align items to center. Let's justify content to be space between. We'll set the background to be kind of an off-white, EDEEF0. It'll give it kind of a grayish background. We'll set the border hyphen radius to be 30 pixels. Padding left will be 20 pixels. Margin bottom will be 25 pixels. So let's take a look at that. So we have that nice background color. It's got a rounded there. Okay, looks good. Now we're going to style the text box and the add button. So first, let's do the text box. Now we only have one input on our website, so we can target the input by itself without having to create a new class. We'll set the flex to be 1. We'll take away the border. We will take away the outline. Let's set the background to be transparent. That way we can see through it. We'll set the padding to be 10 pixels and the font weight to 14 pixels. So now we have this thing here. Beautiful. All right, let's do the button. And again, we only have one button, so we can target the button itself. First, let's get rid of the border. Let's get rid of the outline. Let's set the padding to be 16 pixels by 50 pixels. Let's get rid of, or let's change the background to be, I'm going to use this orange F45. Nice orange. We'll set the color of the text to be white. Let's set the font size to 16 pixels. Cursor to pointer. And the border radius to be 40 pixels. Okay. There we go. Much better. This is looking a whole lot better than just a couple seconds ago. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Next, we want to style these things here. The list items inside of our unordered list. So we can target the UL and the LI. So the unordered list and the list items inside the unordered list. First, let's take away the dot. So list style none. Now that dot is gone. We don't want the dot there. We'll change the font size to be 17 pixels. We'll change the padding to be 12 pixels by 8 pixels by 12 pixels by 50 pixels. Let's change user-select to be none. Let's change the cursor to be pointer, and position will be relative to the container it's inside. Okay, easy enough. So there we go. That's kind of what we want it to look like. And we want to be able to hover over it and see our cursor change. All right, now we need to set, before this thing, we want it to have an icon. So let's go ahead and create that icon. So what we can do is we can say ul_li: before. So it's going to be before this element. We'll set the content to be just blank data. We'll set the position to be relative. We'll set the height to be 28 pixels, the width to be 28 pixels, and we'll set the border radius to be 50%. That way it's a complete circle. We'll set the background -image to be a URL. The URL is going to be images/unchecked.png. Basically, we're going to change it so that that icon shows up before the list item. Let's change the background size to be cover. Let's change the background position to be center. And we'll give it some, we'll go 12 pixels from the top and 8 pixels from the left. All right, let's see. Hello? It's not showing up for me. Interesting. Let's see, do I have to run it in order to make it work? Still not showing up. Let's change the background color. I'm just testing something really quickly. I'm going to copy this and we'll just change it to a black background to see if that makes it easier to... Oh, that's the wrong thing. Where's my... There we go. That's what I wanted to change the background color of. Yep, I'm not seeing it. Okay, let's see. Images unchecked. It's in there. I see. I set its position to relative. It actually needs to be absolute. That's what I did. Okay, there we go. Now it's working. So you see how one little mistake can totally throw everything off. All right, good. Next, we want to style these list items for whenever they are checked. So if I were to click on one, it would change to checked. Let's set this first one to be checked. So we'll say class equals checked. So this first one will be checked and the rest will be unchecked. Let's create a class for that. So ul_li.checked. And what we'll do is we'll set the color to be gray. And let's set the text decoration to be line through. That way it looks like we've crossed through that item on the list, which we have. There we go. So the text is gray and we have a strike through. But we also want to change that icon before to be the checked icon. So ul.li.checked before. We'll change the background hyphen image to be URL images / checked. Okay. So now we can see that we have that checked icon there whenever we've checked off that item on the list. Beautiful. Okay. All righty. Next, we want to create a an X over here that when we click it, it'll make the stuff go away. So let me create a span here. This span is what's going to hold our it's going to hold our X, and we'll just put an X there for now. There we go. Okay. And let's program, or let's set the style for that. So ul.li span. We'll set the position to, this one will be absolute. We'll set it right, 0, so it's all the way to the right. We'll set it 5 pixels from the top, 5px. We'll set the width to be 40 pixels. The height will be 40 pixels. Let's set the font size to be 22 pixels. And let's set the color to be that nice gray. Line height will be 40 pixels. Text align will be center. And we'll give it a border radius of 50%. And I want to change it so that when we hover over it, it changes the background. So ul.li span : hover. So background EDEF0. Okay, so let's take a look. So now my X is over there. When I hover over it, it gives me that gray background, showing me that I can do something. I don't like that X. We'll probably change it to a special icon. But right now, this is functionally what it's supposed to look like. Beautiful. So now we know we have all of our design working. Let's go back into our index. Let's get rid of these 3 list items because we don't want anything on our website from the beginning. So our list items have gone away. Now we have an app that's ready to go with HTML and CSS. And in the next video, we will start adding some JavaScript to this thing. All right. Thanks for paying attention. I'll see you next time.